Alright, first things first is we're going to prepare our soil. To prepare our soil, make sure none of these ingredients have fertilizers in them. So no NFK values on the bags. You'll see the 3 digits. So none of these have that. That's what you want. No fertilizers or chemicals in any of these. It's just pure peat moss, pure manure, and that's just basic old black earth. Alright, so you're going to need 1 cup of peat moss and a 1/2 cup of regular topsoil. Regardless of the total volume created, add no more than 1 inch of dirt and 2 inches of sand. The sand layer can be more than 2 inches if you want. Depending on the size of your tank, I'm starting with just a 2.5 gallon tank, a little nano tank, so I'm going to keep it at 2 inches. Alright, to mix our soil, 1 cup of peat moss. Try not to spill it everywhere. 1/2 cup of black earth, which is just regular topsoil. No perlite or anything in this. And then a 1/2 cup of our cattle manure. In other words, cow manure. This is our organic compost. Okay. And I'm just going to mix it up a bit with my hands first. Break up any little pieces. It'll just help the water absorb into it. Next, we're going to use distilled water only. We're going to make a mud pie type of consistency, like wet concrete. So, make sure we're only using our distilled water. You could even use, if you already have tank water, you could use that too. We don't want it to be all watery and runny, so just add little bits of water at a time and then go ahead and mix it. I'm going to mix it with my hand. I find it easier. Alright, a mud pie, that's what we're aiming for here. Okay, perfect. Just like that, alright? It's not dripping with water or anything like that. Now we're going to let it sit for 2 hours or overnight. I'm going to let it sit overnight, depending on how much you have. I don't really need to. 2 hours minimum is what you want to let it sit in the water for, or all the soil is going to absorb the water. Alright, if you're doing this for a larger aquarium, you need to just multiply the ratios. So for instance, if we're going to do it for a 10-gallon aquarium, you're going to need 4 cups of peat moss, 2 cups of your topsoil, and 2 cups of your cattle manure. Make sure it's a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio. Alright, now you're going to need aquarium sand from your local pet store is where I got mine. You can buy it online too. You want to make sure you're going to clean your sand. So how we do that is we just take it and we fill it with a bit of water. You're just going to fill up your water about halfway. If you have a whole bag of sand, you can put the whole bag in there and fill your water right up to the top. Do it all at once. I have a small amount of sand, so I'm just going to fill it about 1/4 to half the way. And then from here, you're going to just stir it up. This is what this is doing, is getting all the dust and debris and stuff off of the sand. Give it a good little stir, and then after this we're going to dump it. So it's best to dump this outside because you don't want sand going down your drain and clogging your drain. So you're gonna do this up to 3 times to properly clean your sand. Okay, 3 times. And then that's it for cleaning your sand. And then we'll go on to the next step. All right, now we're gonna take our soil that we prepped and let sit overnight or for a minimum of 2 hours. And we're gonna put it in our tank, only 1 inch. Make sure you pack it down in. Now to get the dirt off the walls, we're gonna use distilled water only. Or fish tank water is cool too. And just spray it off. Because you don't want the dirt to sit on top of your soil layer after. Your sand layer after. Just careful not to spray too much water. Now we can add our sand layer, 2 inches or more, but for this it's a small 2.5 gallon tank, so I'm only gonna do about 2 at the least, 2 inches. Put all your sand in first and then pack it down. Alrighty. It's better to use dry sand if you can, because you don't want the sand to be too wet, because all this water is going to possibly mess up your soil layer. So, but it can be done. You just got to be super careful. And now we're going to start to add our hardscape in. I'm going to use some driftwood and a rock that I found from my local body of water, which is just a stream. Alright. I think I'm also going to put this glass paperweight in there too, to add some cool effect. Now from here you can fill it up with distilled water about 20% of the way, and then plant your aquatic plants in it. So maybe up to about here, top of the ball. I'm going to use old tank water that I took out of this, because I had this tank set up before I put my deep substrate in it. So it's already pre-prepared water. It'll be safe to put in and then put fish in right away. Now when you're putting in your water, be very careful that you don't disturb your soil and sand layer. I like to use measuring cups. You can just put it in. If I didn't have the ball in the way, I would put this in here on the bottom and fill it up. But I'm going to use the ball to my advantage here by pouring the water right on it, and hopefully it shouldn't disturb the sand layer. I put this glass paperweight in here only because I know it's glass and it's not going to leach any chemicals or anything like that into the water. Don't be putting like
random toys and stuff in your aquarium, it's gonna get chemicals over time, and it'll kill your fish and plants. So this is just straight up glass, so I know it's not gonna be harmful to anything in my fish aquarium. Next, you want to put your aquatic plants in. Doesn't really matter how you place them. If aquascape it however you want. When you're planting your plants, you only want to stick them into the sand layer, no deeper. They'll eventually work their roots down into the soil. And yeah, and in my opinion, I'm definitely gonna be adding more sand to this eventually. It should be higher. You can use tweezers too to plant your plants, and it's a little easier if you have them. But sometimes I find it easier to just plant them with my hands. It all kind of depends on the size and whatnot and the plant you're planting. Oh, I got a rotella here. Didn't know I had. You want to make sure that your tank is at least 75% planted. After we put all our plants in, we can now fill the rest of the water up and then add whatever fish, or I'm going to be putting neo shrimps in this, and some nearite snails. And now we can add our shrimps or fish. I might do both. I took out the wood out of it because it's my driftwood. It dried out, so I need to put it back in water to waterlog it. I'm also going to top this all the way up after. I'm just waiting for some distilled water to distill. If you don't know how to do that, you just fill up a storage bin or a bucket of water and let it sit for 24 hours with no lid on it, and it'll be distilled. Or if you want to do it quick, you could throw an air stone in there in your bucket, and the tap water will be distilled in a couple hours. Alright, so here's my shrimp. I got 13 of them, just red cherries. I'm gonna go ahead and throw them in now. Your water will clear up within a couple days, and it'll look crystal clear again after all the sediment and everything settles down. And then I'm gonna toss in probably 2 nearite snails, 1 zebra and 1 tiger. That's it. Probably gonna put a little filter in it just to get some water movement. The best filter would be a sponge filter, but I have a little waterfall filter that I'm gonna use for this. And then it's going to get the water flowing a bit. You don't have to put a filter in there if you don't want to. It'll be fine and stay crystal clear. That's how you make a natural aquarium with a deep substrate, soil and sand. That's the secret. That's what's going to help keep your water crystal clear. And of course with the plants as well. So give this about a month to grow in and check back. I'm gonna leave a written description of this in the in the description below for you to refer to. Now this is one of the most important parts, is adding our dead leaves to our tank that I picked up from the local stream. What this will do is put biodiversity in your tank and start off your food web. Just don't put too many leaves in at once. You can do it periodically, once a month or so. You want to build up the food web slowly. I went ahead and added a variety of different plants and my driftwood and a couple snails. And I still got to add some more sand in there, about another inch. And that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And stay tuned for an update on this tank and many more videos to come. Peace.